For 12 years, one of Hollywood's most feared legal documents kept two women silent, but that silence just shattered. When Suri turned 18 this April, the so-called Iron Curtain of her parents' divorce didn't just expire, it was obliterated. We all saw the photos of the golden couple, but we didn't see the darker reality. Katie Holmes didn't just file for divorce, she executed a calculated rescue mission to save her daughter from a world she couldn't control. For over a decade, ironclad contracts and a strict custody arrangement created a fortress around Suri, keeping her life private and her father, allegedly, at a distance. But the clock just hit zero. The moment Suri blew out her birthday candles, the legal walls crumbled. The secrets hidden behind the settlement are no longer protected by the courts. And Suri's first act of freedom. She didn't issue a press release. She did something far louder. In her high school playbill and graduation ceremony, she publicly stripped Cruz from her identity, debuting to the world as Suri Noelle. It was a deliberate message that destroyed any hope of a reunion. She hasn't just moved on, she has erased him. Now Hollywood is holding its breath to see if she'll finally speak the words her mother never could. It happened on a simple piece of paper, a playbill for a high school production of Head Over Heels in New York City. The cast list was standard, but one line sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. The name didn't say Suri Cruz, it said Suri Noelle. This wasn't a typo, this was a declaration of independence. By publicly dropping her father's famous last name, Suri made a brutal, silent statement. She was telling the world exactly whose side she is on. For over a decade, the public has speculated about the relationship between Tom Cruise and his youngest daughter. People wondered if there were secret phone calls, hidden meetings, or if the estrangement was just a tabloid rumor. This name change silences the speculation. It is a total rejection. The name Noelle isn't random. It is her mother, Katie Holmes' middle name. By adopting it, Suri didn't just erase the connection to the Mission Impossible star. She replaced it with a permanent tribute to the woman who raised her. It's a move that says, I am my mother's daughter. Think about the weight of that decision. Suri turned 18 and had the option to embrace a legacy worth hundreds of millions of dollars. She could have walked into any room in Hollywood as Suri Cruz. Instead, she chose anonymity. She chose a normal life. That choice tells you everything you need to know about her childhood and the reality behind the glitz. Tom was reportedly absent from her graduation, spotted at a Taylor Swift concert in London while his daughter walked the stage in New York. But Suri didn't seem to mind. She has made her stance clear. She doesn't need his help, she doesn't want his fame, and she definitely doesn't want his name. To understand why Suri changed her name, we have to go back to 2012. This wasn't a normal breakup, it was a carefully planned escape. Katie Holmes didn't just ask for a divorce, she plotted it like a spy movie. She knew she was up against one of the most powerful men in Hollywood and the machinery of Scientology. So she went dark. She secretly rented a generic apartment in New York City to establish residency behind Tom's back. Then she used a disposable burner phone, provided by a trusted friend, to interview divorce lawyers. She couldn't risk Tom or his team intercepting her calls. Why? Because she was terrified. She had watched Nicole Kidman be pushed out of her adopted children's lives after her split from Tom, and Katie refused to let that happen to Suri. She blindsided him. Tom was on a movie set in Iceland filming Oblivion, thinking his marriage was perfect. Then he got the call. Katie had filed for divorce in New York, not California. This was a genius legal maneuver. California courts almost always default to joint custody, but New York judges are far more likely to grant sole custody if the parents are fighting. Katie wanted total control over Suri's upbringing, specifically to keep her away from Scientology's schooling. And she won. She got primary custody. But freedom came with a price, a very steep price. To get Suri out, Katie had to walk away from a fortune. She received zero spousal support, no alimony for herself. She settled for $400,000 a year in child support, a fraction of what Tom's net worth could have commanded. Rumors even swirled about a mysterious clause banning her from publicly dating for 5 years. She essentially chose poverty relative to her lifestyle and silence in exchange for her daughter's future. If you're enjoying this video, please hit the like. It's free and really helps the channel grow. Oh, by the way, I will be posting more videos like this, so please subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss another deep dive from me. Now, let's look at the document that ruled their lives. Rumors swirled for years about a dating clause. Insiders claimed Katie was banned from dating anyone publicly for 5 years. 5 whole years. Imagine that. You leave a marriage, but your ex-husband still controls who sees you. That is why she hid her relationship with Jamie Foxx for so long. They had to sneak around. They wore disguises. They couldn't walk a red carpet together. Why would she agree to this? Because she wanted Suri. She traded her own public life to keep her daughter safe. She stayed silent so Suri could grow up normal. But that silence created a mystery.
Let's look at the timeline, because it tells the real story. Katie filed for divorce in June 2012. It was a quickie settlement, finalized in just 11 days. Most high-profile Hollywood divorces drag on for years, but Katie wanted out immediately. The price? She walked away with zero spousal support. Nothing. Just $400,000 a year in child support. But in exchange, she got primary custody and reportedly signed the clause. The terms were brutal. According to reports from Radar Online, Katie was allowed to date, but she couldn't do it publicly. No social media posts, no paparazzi shots, and the strictest rule of all, no boyfriends allowed near Suri. This explains the bizarre game of cat and mouse she played with the press. For years, she and Jamie Foxx denied everything. They exited restaurants separately. They wore wigs and hats. Jamie even told reporters they were just friends, despite photos leaking of them holding hands in private studios. Then, almost exactly 5 years later, in September 2017, the clock ran out. Katie and Jamie were suddenly photographed walking hand in hand on a beach in Malibu. No disguises, no running. The contract was up. She had served her time. She endured half a decade of control to ensure Suri wouldn't be sent to a Scientology boarding school. She won her daughter's freedom by selling her own privacy. But while Katie was counting down the days until she could breathe again, Tom was operating in a completely different reality. What was Tom doing this whole time? Here is the part that breaks your heart. Tom Cruise isn't just a busy actor to these people. He is the messiah of Scientology. He is the most important figure in their world, second only to the leader himself. And in that world there is a ruthless law called disconnection. This isn't a suggestion, it is a mandate. If someone leaves the church and actively opposes it, they are branded a suppressive person or an SP. When Katie Holmes orchestrated her high-stakes escape from the marriage in 2012, she didn't just file for divorce, she became the church's ultimate enemy. She became a suppressive person. This places their daughter, Suri, in a heartbreaking position. Because Suri lives with an SP, the church views her as a potential trouble source. The logic is cold and absolute. You cannot make spiritual progress if you are connected to an enemy. For a devout Scientologist, and especially for its poster boy, maintaining a relationship with a potential trouble source is spiritually fatal. This explains the missing years. It explains why the paparazzi who follow Tom everywhere haven't captured a single photo of him with Suri since roughly 2013. It is not because he is too busy jumping off cliffs for Mission Impossible. It is because his belief system forbids it. To the rest of us, it looks like abandonment, but to him it is likely framed as a necessary sacrifice to save the world. He had to choose between his dogma and his daughter. He chose the dogma.
For a little girl growing up, that silence isn't just a lack of phone calls. It's a rejection that leaves a mark that no amount of movie magic can wash away. For 12 years, the wire transfer hit like clockwork, $33,000 every single month. That was the rhythm of Suri Cruz's life in New York City. $400,000 a year from a father she hasn't seen in over a decade. That money was the silent partner in the household. It covered the private ballet lessons, the bodyguards, the wardrobe, and the medical bills. It was the golden thread connecting a $600 million movie star to the daughter he left behind. But in April, Suri turned 18, and just like that, the thread snapped. The $400,000 annual lifeline is gone. The legal mandate for direct child support has expired. Now, to be clear, Tom isn't off the hook entirely. Divorce documents reportedly force him to cover her college tuition at Carnegie Mellon. He writes a check to the university, not to the family. But for the household, the cash flow hits zero. This is the financial cliff. Katie Holmes saw this coming from a mile away. She's been grinding, directing films, returning to the stage, building a war chest, because she knew that Tom Cruise scholarship had an expiration date. She didn't get a massive payout in the divorce. She got freedom and she got child support. Now she just has freedom. Suri has even dropped his last name, enrolling in college as Suri Noelle. The message is brutal and clear. The tuition is paid, but the relationship is bankrupt. The monthly checks were the last pulse of a connection. Now there is no money changing hands between the parents, no legal necessity, just silence. This brings us to the biggest question of all. Will Suri Noelle finally speak? For 18 years, the world has watched her through a telephoto lens, but we've never actually heard her voice. Her story was always told by someone else. First, it was the tabloids, obsessing over the most famous baby in the world. Then it was her father's legal team, releasing carefully worded statements. And for over a decade, it was her mother's calculated silence, a quiet fortitude maintained to protect their peace.
But the clock has run out on that silence. Suri is an adult now. The custody agreements are expired. The gag orders that reportedly bound Katie Holmes do not apply to her daughter. Suri never signed an NDA. Theoretically, she could sign a $10 million book deal tomorrow. She could sit down with Oprah and dismantle the carefully curated image of Tom Cruise in a single hour. She holds the nuclear codes to one of Hollywood's most protected reputations. She could tell us what it felt like to be abandoned by the biggest movie star on the planet. But look at the name on her high school graduation program, Suri Noelle. She didn't just drop Cruise, she erased it. That choice suggests something far more powerful than a tell-all interview. It suggests she doesn't want to destroy him, she just wants to forget him. She isn't looking for a payout or a headline. She is looking for a future where he simply doesn't exist. And maybe proving she doesn't need him is the best revenge of all.